Good morning. You're listening to Big Dog Country, WIFO, 105.5 FM in Jesup, WIFO. It is now time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you by O'Quinn & Associates, Murphy Builder Supply, Van's Barbecue, and First Southern Bank.
Are you looking for an insurance company that you can call and talk to a live person? Are you looking for an insurance company where you can walk in and talk to an agent? Are you looking for an insurance company that offers multiple companies so they can try and get you the best rate? If you said yes to any of these, then you need to call or come by O'Quinn & Associates Insurance Financial Services. We offer multiple companies so we can find the best fit for you. Give us a call at 385-1000 or stop by our office at 212 South Fair Street right here in Jesup.
Since 1946, Murphy's Builder Supply has been serving the folks of Jesup, Wayne, and surrounding counties with quality products and knowledgeable service. Matter of fact, they feel they sell service first to make sure you get exactly what you need for your home improvement projects. And with each employee at Murphy's being there for 10 years or more, you know you're talking with someone with the experience to help you with building supplies, tools, paint, and all the things you need from a full-service hardware store. The best choice in home improvement is Murphy's Builder Supply, 156 Northeast Broad Street, Jesup.
When it comes to barbecue, Van's Barbecue in Jesup is the place to be. A small family-owned business located at 1876 on the Savannah Highway. Van's Barbecue has lunch and dinner special. Stop by or call to make an order. The number to call, 427-3358. Van's Barbecue's new manager is Sarah Van. Van's Barbecue offers potato salad, coleslaw, baked beans, and don't forget their delicious mac and cheese. Also, check out their shrimp plates, the best in town. Yes, when it comes to barbecue, head to Van's Barbecue, locally owned and operated. Stop by and tell them the Big Dog sent you. Once again, the number to order, 427-3358.
Hi, I'm Raymond Brown.
And I'm Mandy Yeomans. At First Southern Bank, our customers are like family. As a locally owned community bank, we're dedicated to helping our clients succeed.
We have loans for every need, whether it's personal or business. We have lines of credit, auto loans, equipment loans, and of course, we offer mortgages. Stop by our bank or call us at 912-588-1010 and see how First Southern Bank can help you.
Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
The following is an exclusive presentation of Jesup Broadcasting, the sports leader in Southeast Georgia.
The world-famous Butch and Bob Show.
World-famous Butch and Bob Show right here on WIFO, 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio. Bob, how's it going this morning?
It's going well. And again, one of our sponsors of the Butch and Bob Show is Van's Barbecue. They want to remind everybody their new dining room will be open this Friday at 11:30 a.m. So come and check it out. Enjoy a great meal. In Van's Barbecue, new dining room. They've been working on that for a while, but it's going to be open this Friday at 11:30 a.m. So go check it out.
So got a big old dining room. A dining room there, there at the Van. So not only can you eat out on the porch like some people do, or take out like most people do. Now you can dine in. Well, we got Blake Tillery called in. We'll be back with Senator Blake Tillery in a moment.
Ready to take your career to the next level? Don't miss the Wayne County Career Expo 2023 at Coastal Pines Technical College Polytech Center in Jesup on February 8th from 3 to 7 p.m. Check out the local businesses with current job openings and on-site interviews. Sponsored by Camorris, EAM, Georgia Power, Great Southern Wood Preserving, RYAM, Sierra International Machinery, and Wayne Memorial Hospital. For more info, call the Wayne County Chamber at 912-427-2028.
And once again, it's time now for the World Famous Butch and Bob Show. It's Tuesdays with Tillery. We've got State Senator Blake Tillery on the phone. Blake, appreciate you calling in. How's everything going in Atlanta?
Hey, man. It's always better to be home.
Well, that's true. I understand. We're in God's country. You're up there in crazy land in Atlanta.
Crazy land.
It's as good as it can be. It's still kind of slow here. I actually was talking with the House Rules Chairman this morning. He and I get here pretty early, and I left my key in Vidalia, so I had to sit outside my office at about 6:30 and wait on somebody to get here. He was picking on me. Right now, most of the freshmen have just got their offices, so he was asking me, was I waiting on my office assignment, obviously, and yes. But we got to sit and talk about the fact that there aren't a whole lot of bills yet, which is it's not a bad thing. the state of Georgia's operated just fine without any bill we're going to pass already. So changes aren't necessarily the best. Having a whole lot of changes isn't necessarily the best thing.
Well, again, we haven't had a chance to talk to you since the governor gave us the state address. We talked with Stephen yesterday, got his thoughts. Just want to get your thoughts on what the governor had to say.
The things that he's repeated, I appreciate Governor Kemp's ability to stay on message and continue to drive home the point that we're going to value employees, especially in areas where we're having turnover, that we're going to try to stem that turnover, because heavy turnover means that citizens aren't getting services that, if someone doesn't know what to do, then how can they provide the services that the state that they expect the state to provide? And then also his strong commitment on safety. What we used to always view as a big city problem has now crept out into the suburbs and even into the rural areas. So I'm committed to making sure that the measures that we have concerning public safety are implemented, and that folks and families are able to feel safe in their home.
As I mentioned on our local newscast, you work closely with the governor in the budget. Again, you kind of oversee the budget. The governor's made a lot of promises for a lot of agencies, again, looking for another 2,000 pay increase for teachers, putting a lot more money into health care. So you're in charge of that budget. My curious question is, when you look at the budget, everybody wants their piece of the pie. Who is the person who says no?
Well, usually that's me.
That's what I thought. That's what I was getting at. So,
no, you can't have that. No, you can't have that.
How tough is that?
I think the joke around the Capitol is that I have a really good poker face. They leave wondering what's going to happen. But I don't think that's a bad thing either. We're never spending state money. We're always spending taxpayer money. And the way we get that money is through coercion of law. We get it from you, from taxpayers. So we need to be frugal, even when times are good. That doesn't mean that anyone should go on a spending spree. So there are some needs we're going to have to meet. The state health benefit plan has some holes in it that we're going to need to fill. Remember that the state health benefit plan provides health care to not only the roughly 200,000 state employees and teachers, but all their dependents. So, and it helps prop up our rural hospitals, because the state health benefit plan generally is a better payer, usually, than some of the Medicare and Medicaid, almost always, but than some of the other private insurance. So that's just one example. Other examples of things that we're having to take a hard look at, there's some things in economic development, which we're strong supporters of, that we're going to have to take a look at and see if it makes sense long term. Georgia's the number one state to do business for 9 years in a row. Well, the things we may have had to do in the past to incentivize growth, are those things we're going to have to do anymore? If you're the best, if you've proven yourself to be the best, what organic growth are you going to create that doesn't necessarily require dipping into state coffers and spending taxpayer dollars? And then at the same time, if you're having an issue with workforce, does bringing another business actually make that workforce problem worse, not better, until you can solve your workforce issues? So a lot of things to think through. Really just honored that the people back home in our area have given me the opportunity to try to think through them, but it doesn't make it any easier. The questions with good times and bad times are still difficult.
When you watch the national news in Washington, it's total gridlock. It's they can't get anything accomplished. Is it state's so much different? The appearances, everybody's getting along. I mean, I was still impressed that the new House Speaker, his vote went by unanimous vote. No one voted against him at all. I asked Stephen, is he that popular, or is it how it seems? Everybody gets along up there in Atlanta, and everything's moving smoothly between the Republicans and the Democrats?
No, it's not always moving smoothly. But there is a pragmatism. So there may be a bill that I feel is absolutely the best bill for the state. But if I can't count to 29 in the Senate and 91 in the House, it's not going to pass. So is my time, because our sessions are so much more abbreviated, you focus on the matters that are important to home, and then the matters that you can change. So That I think requires folks to direct their time differently. You don't have as much time to direct energy towards things that are just vitriol and be mad and mean. A lot of folks outside the building do. But inside the building, if your time is that limited, well, you got to focus it where your folks wanted you to focus it, not necessarily on the things that just make a headline.
Our former House Speaker, David Rawson, was up there for a long time. Seemed like he had a lot of power. How about the new House Speaker? Does he yield that kind of power, or how's he fitting in?
Yeah, he does. Virtue of the position, it is the most powerful legislative position. Remember, the Senate disperses power slightly in a way that the House doesn't. So the House Speaker picks every single committee chair, and they serve at the pleasure of the Speaker. He gets to, and if he picks every committee chair, then when things are rolling through committees, he's gonna, if he didn't want it to, he gets to make the call to the chair and say, hey, I don't know that we need to, I don't know that the time's right for that bill yet. Then when it gets to rules, he gets to do the same thing, and you have to go through rules to get to the floor. On the Senate side, it's slightly different. And to say that about the House side, it's also they elect their Speaker. We do not elect. The Senate does not elect our Lieutenant Governor. The people of Georgia elect our Lieutenant Governor. So his interaction with the Senate is slightly different than the interaction of the Speaker with the House. So a little bit different way that our committees are structured. You can't be removed from a committee in the Senate. You can be removed as a chair, but it's a vote of the Committee on Assignments, which is 5 people, not just a singular vote. Although those 5 people, one is the Lieutenant Governor and 2 are appointees that he makes to that committee. So it's just a different structure. John Burns is going to be great for Southeast Georgia. He's going to be great for Georgia. But it's good to have someone who drives the same roads to get to Atlanta as we do.
If you're just joining us on the phone with us, State Senator Blake Tillery is Tuesdays with Tillery. Again, you mentioned there's no bills at the moment, but I'm sure there's going to be some bills that are contentious. What can we expect? What are going to be the hotly debated items up in Atlanta?
Yeah, well, there's some bills already, but there's just nothing moving all the way to the floor yet. So there's, I think, one bill in rules. So today that could go to the floor, so you could have your first floor vote of the session on a bill tomorrow. There have been other floor votes on other things. The things that you've heard about for the past 5 or 6 years are still going to be big. You're going to hear folks talk about gambling, which is, again, been in our General Assembly sessions discussed since I've been here. That's 6 years now, 7 years. Don't know. They're kind of split on 3 different things: a sports gaming piece, a horse racing piece, and then a casino. I think the one that has no chance right now, I would tell you, is probably casinos. That doesn't seem to have the 29 votes in the Senate and the 91 votes in the House that it would require. Horse racing is an interesting one. It seems to be gaining a little bit of steam, no pun intended. And then the esports, I guess, gaming betting piece is probably more likely to pass than the others, but I still don't know if it will pass. In our district, I haven't had most of the calls I've had, it's just kind of folks aren't ready for that yet in our area. So unless that drastically changes, I'm going to vote the will of my folks back home.
A couple of years ago, there was conversation, the Atlanta airport, they were talking about how busy it is. They're talking about airport. What happened to that conversation, the airport in Macon? Is that still on the table, or is that just totally faded away?
That actually was the idea of me and Burt Jones. And I got to give Burt a lot of credit. At the time, he was concerned about some of the grift that was going on in Atlanta. I think you had somebody being indicted or arrested every other day concerning their concessions or buildings or all kinds of different stuff. A whole lot of money moves through the Atlanta airport just for contract purposes. My thought was economic development for rural Georgia. It was, what if you moved all the freight to Macon? What would that do for our area? Again, it doesn't directly affect Jesup or Vidalia or Hazelhurst, but you're starting to build warehousing and other logistics manufacturing areas in Macon rather than around the 285 area that's already pretty congested. And I was trying to figure out what that would do for traffic, what it would do for traffic in the city, and then jobs back home. Right now, it seems, at least as of today, that Atlanta's kind of got their act together on that airport, and Clinton, I think maybe they saw the writing on the wall, what was moving. So not hearing as much about that. I mean, obviously, I'm still interested in anything we can do that brings jobs or people south of Macon, but I'm not hearing as much about that anymore.
Okefenokee Refuge is right down the road. We asked Stephen about it. There's a lot of talk about mining in that area. A lot of people interested in what's going on there. What can you tell us about that project?
Yeah, not a whole lot of conversation at all on the Senate side about it. I think it's might be a bill that's in a House Natural Resources Committee now with Lynn Smith, and I think Darlene Taylor from over in Southwest Georgia dropped the bill. On the Senate side, there's not a companion piece of legislation yet. So I guess on the Senate right now, we're taking more of the approach of seeing what comes out of the House, because it doesn't seem that there's a Senate proposal on it.
Yeah, every now and then you see a story, you kind of go, wow. Yesterday we had the story, the Senate wants to look at, apparently they did a study and 36% of third graders can't read in the state of Georgia. Your thoughts on that, and what's the Senate plan to do about that?
Yeah, so that is something that Senator Billy Hickman is taking on personally. He's met with about a third of superintendents across the state. Remember, you've got 180 school systems, so that's a pretty big number. Just sit down and meet with them individually or in group settings. Our graduation scores every year continue to be strong. 80%, 90%, even high 90% graduation rates for most of our schools, many of our schools. But what Senator Hickman kept drilling down on is they're graduating, but they're not able to read. So what have we done? And he put the blame for that. He didn't put it on teachers. He didn't put it on principals. And he said, hey, listen, y'all are kind of rallying the troops and telling us how high your graduation rates are, DOE, but you're not telling us that, you're not pointing out the fact that they really aren't ready to work. So there'll be a renewed focus. Last year in the Senate budget, I think it was $25 million focused specifically on third grade reading levels. The reason we grabbed third grade reading levels, I've said it before, but just to echo and remind folks who are listening, is third grade reading levels, because third grade reading levels shows a direct correlation with the number of prisons we need in the 2 decades later. So if you're not reading on third grade level, the percentage and the likelihood of you one day being in one of our penal institutions is dramatically higher.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So yeah, right.
And I'm sure you don't have the answer, but the obvious question is, how do you graduate if you can't read?
That I think our listeners know, and that's one of the things we're trying to address.
Okay. The ports are very big for our area down here in southeast Georgia. Is there any talk about the ports, or is everything just running smoothly in Savannah and Brunswick, and there's no concern with anything?
So they actually been in our office several times. We're going to have some movement to the Brunswick port from the Savannah port. Some of the things that we're doing in Savannah may move to Brunswick, which is great for us right up 341. I apologize. They're cutting the grass right outside my office window here, so if y'all hear that, folks are out here working. So that's good for our area, what's happening in Brunswick there. The bigger thing, though, is remember the backlog of ships that we've had for months and months and months and months. That is non-existent now at Savannah. So Savannah has continued to be a bright spot for efficiency of moving ships in and out of the port.
Okay.
Again, everybody's listening, tuned in. Sometimes they want to get in touch with you. You always give that information out. So before we let you go, we just get that information. What's the best way to get in touch with you during the legislative session?
Yeah, either call up here to the office in Atlanta. Miss Angela is here. Her number's on my number, I guess, but she'd probably answer. It's going to be 404-656-5038, or just call or text me. I don't mind. My cell phone number is 912-245-9915. The emails are still, we're getting a whole lot of emails from out of state, and it's just overwhelming our ability to respond to the folks in the state. So feel free to call if you sent an email and we missed it.
And one final question before you go. Like I said, Stephen said they had Dave for Wayne up there. They were able to see the State of the State address. So I'm sure you were with the local delegation from Wayne County. How'd that go?
Yeah, that great group, as always. Miss Joy Joy Birch Meeks did a great job of organizing, and the group got around. See the inside of the House chamber, the Senate chamber, we took them on. There's some back connecting hallways that move through offices, so we got to roll them through there and let them see kind of the inside of the Capitol a little bit. So it's always good to see people from home.
Okay, Blake, again, appreciate you being here on Tuesdays with Tillery, and again, stay safe in Atlanta.
Thank you, guys. I hope y'all have a good morning.
All right. Take care, Senator. All right. State Senator Blake Tillery here on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, right here on WIFO 105.5 FM in Jesup. We appreciate Senator Tillery taking time out of his busy schedule on Tuesday mornings with Tuesdays with Tillery to keep us updated on what's happening at the Gold Dome there in Atlanta, especially on the Senate side there. 105.5 FM in Jesup, Big Dog Country Radio, WIFO. And, Bob, it looks like Brock Purdy's arm is worse than the injury. I mean, it didn't look like he got hit that bad, but now they're saying that he's going to have surgery.
Yeah, they're saying he's got to have surgery. He's trying to get a second opinion, but they're saying he's going to have Tommy John surgery about 6 months. So, you could tell he couldn't throw the ball. I mean, they were talking about yesterday on AM. It was sad. I mean, Christian McCaffrey was quarterbacking at one point. I mean, they just run out of options. They were talking about how the 49ers should have made better preparations, with Brock Purdy, being.
Well, they had a backup, but he got a concussion. That was the backup.
He wasn't much of a backup. They should have had a better contingency plan to him. He was terrible. How he's on an NFL roster, I have no idea. But anyway,
he's an NFL player.
Whatever.
Yeah. He beat out everybody else, Bob.
He couldn't even take a snap. He dropped the ball. What did they used to? Don't even get me started. That was awful. Mm-hmm. It was bad news from the get-go. I mean, it was just sad. It was just sad to see. And they were talking about it on all sports. I mean, it was a bummer of a game. I mean, you get excited about a championship game. Quarterback gets hurt. They got no quarterback. It was just a disaster. So, but it's the Andy Reid Bowl. Andy Reid's the winningest coach in Philadelphia history, and one went away from being the all-time winningest coach in Kansas City history. So
amazing, absolutely.
It's amazing. They showed a picture last night of him with Philadelphia, and it hasn't changed a bit. He looks the same. He's aged well. He looks the same.
Yeah, big heavy-set guy with a big old mustache.
Doing those State Farm commercials, doing faces on Patrick Mahomes.
I know, that's so funny.
I like Andy Reid. Wish him well. But like I said, it's going to be. I mean, it's amazing. The two teams he coached his whole career playing in the Super Bowl against one another. That's pretty wild.
That's right. That is pretty wild. And of course, Philly's favored by 2 at this particular time. They're worried about Patrick's ankle and worried about the defense of Kansas City. But Kansas City held Joe Burrow and gang to 20 points, so that's not too bad.
Should be a good ball game. I said, 2 good teams. Should be interesting. Should be a fun game. Okay. I said Kansas City's, Patrick Mahomes has only won 1 Super Bowl. He's been there several times, so see if he can win the second one. But Jalen Hurts and Eagles, that running attack looks pretty strong. Their defense is pretty good, so it should be a heck of a ball game.
Well, they say that Jalen's going to have a better game than he did against San Francisco, but he could have been just playing to the competition or just kind of an off day. So we'll see. Well, you never can tell until they kick off and the game starts going.
And the good news, they'll have better weather than they had in those 2 games. I mean, it should be nice out in Arizona.
It should be fine in Glendale.
Don't have to worry about rain, wind, all that stuff that they had to deal with in the championship game. So, but hope Purdy gets a quick recovery. The big rumor is San Francisco is they want Tom Brady to come out there. So we'll see where Brady lands. Aaron Rodgers, apparently Green Bay is ready to part ways with him. So it's going to be an interesting offseason in the NFL, see where all these quarterbacks land.
Yeah, I think Green Bay, from listening to our AM station, Fox Sports Radio 1370 AM, The Buzz WLOP, Dan Patrick and the gang there, and Jim Rome and so forth, it just seems like Green Bay's ready to move forward. All right, let's put this Rodgers drama, we're not going anywhere. We didn't make it to the playoffs this year. Let's move forward now. So we'll see what happens there.
No, I'm sure he won't have trouble finding a new home.
No, but they can't just trade him. I mean, it's not like they can just, he can stay there if he wants. But if he wants to go somewhere, it looks like they say, okay, here's the door.
I think he's guaranteed like $57 million.
Yeah, he's guaranteed a lot of money.
I don't think they want him. That's why they're trying to push him out the door. That's a lot of money.
We don't want you.
That's a lot of money.
DIVORCE.
We want to get rid of that contract. So, but I'm sure he won't have any trouble finding a new home. So, still a good quarterback. So.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe that Rodgers and Brady would like to get in a situation where they are not in a rebuild. They're in a team that's got the talent already, and they can just move them on to victory.
I say you may wind up with the New York Jets. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
That'll be a big boost for the New York Jet fans.
Yeah, but can Aaron Rodgers handle the New York press?
That'll be the best quarterback they had since Joe Namath.
I mean, can Rodgers handle that New York press? That's one thing you have to be concerned about when you become a quarterback for the Jets is how do you handle that press?
Yeah, he handles. I mean, does a lot of commercials as well, so I'm sure he can handle it. So.
Yeah.
I don't think it would faze him much, but that'll be interesting if the Jets land there and Rodgers. That'll be interesting. So it's going to be interesting. Let's say Derek Carr's out there. Raiders got rid of him. He's looking. There's a lot of good quarterbacks looking for a new team. So be interested how it all shapes out.
Yeah, quarterbacks, coaches carousel. They just change from team to team.
Yeah, still hadn't heard anything final on Todd Monken. He's interviewed with several NFL teams for their offense coordinator position. So not sure if he's going back to the NFL or he's going to stick with University of Georgia. I'm sure Kirby and them are trying to keep him as best they can.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
But that's the big story. What's he going to do?
Any update on the Bennett situation, or is it about the same it was yesterday?
It's kind of died down. Like I say, it's just, I'm sure he's out.
Yeah.
The detention, I saw him get released by the detention center. So,
yeah.
Like I say, until you get all the facts, you really don't know what the real story is.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is you have to wait sometimes for all the true facts to come out, and just one of those things.
Just wish him the best. I said, Mark Bradley.
Wish him the best.
Mark Bradley had a good interview. Just like I said, ever since the championship game, just made some bad decisions, and just they want to know who's advising him. Like I said, they're still shaking their head why he's not at the Senior Bowl. We got the invitation to that, but like I said, after the national championship game, he didn't show up for the post game interview, which was supposed to be. The next morning he was supposed to be there. Brock Bowers had to take his place. Then he had the incident at the parade where he didn't really pay attention, was on his cell phone the whole time, and a lot of people were upset about that. Then his speech at the ceremony, nobody liked that. In fact, he didn't wear the same outfit that everybody else wore. He wore his own, but that shirt he wore is selling like hotcakes on the internet. That was a money thing there. So, but anyway,
I didn't know about all that.
Hopefully he can get his act together and wish him well. Like I said, he's getting ready for the draft, so I still think he's going to land somewhere with an NFL team, so hopefully he gets a shot. But
I hope so.
But wish him the best.
Yeah, and stop making decisions like that. But everybody does that, especially young folks.
Yeah. It was just sad to see.
Yeah, he'd have been just fine without the knocking on the doors. If that's him who did it, that was the question. Was he the one who did it? But it sounded like he was, and if he was, then. It's just one of those stupid things. Everybody does stupid things once in a while, so no big deal.
It's kind of died down. Like I said Sunday was the big headline, but like I said, people move on to the next story.
Well, we got the Super Bowl coming up, so the focus now is on the teams and the injuries and the line and all that kind of stuff.
I am curious why I went to go to the Senior Bowl. I mean, that seems like a golden opportunity. Like I said, NFL coaches are coaching those teams. There's NFL scouts at the Senior Bowl. Plus, you're on national TV, so just kind of surprised he turned out an invitation, but he turned down the invite to go straight to work out, get ready for the NFL Combine. So that's where he went, Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth. Dallas is more of a metropolitan city. The old Fort Worth area is looks like a western city down there.
The big joke was he went to the wrong state. Those TCU fans still upset he whipped them in that.
Had spies on him.
If he's in New York or somewhere else, it might not have been that big a deal. But he went to Texas after whipping up on TCU. So.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of practice combine they have there for the prospective NFL players.
Went to the wrong state.
The wrong state, huh?
I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah,
it was TCU policemen that arrested him. Is what they said. I don't know.
He would have had to been on TCU campus to do that.
They were TCU graduates. We got him.
Maybe that's what he's doing is go around there. I beat you, knock, knock, knock. I beat you. Go down there. I beat you. Maybe that's what he's doing.
I said, wishing him the best.
Yeah, we wish him the best. It's just one of those things. Yeah. But they said that things really got wild in Philadelphia starting that day before the game or that night. They could have they could have arrested half the city there for public drunkenness in Philadelphia after the game. And boy, if they win the Super Bowl, they just might as well close up. You know, they grease the light poles there. You see that? They grease the light because they like to climb the light poles. The Philadelphia Eagle fans like to climb the light poles there. And they greased them a long way up, and you still had some folks to figure out how to get up those light poles with all that grease on it. Absolutely amazing. Why do people just want to go absolutely nuts when their team wins? They go do stupid things. They destroy property. They do things that they normally wouldn't do. You know, why? Enjoy the victory, not go out there and make a fool of yourself like some of these fans do.
I can't criticize anybody like that.
Because you've done it yourself.
1980, I climbed the light pole in New Orleans, so
yeah, but
been there, done that.
You were young. You're in your teens and 20s.
I was just trying to get everybody. I got it. You know, I told a great joke. You know,
what's that?
Got to climb. You know, playing Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. I said, you know, Notre Dame fans, when you talk about the Pope, you get their attention. So I got up on the light pole and asked Notre Dame fans if they'd heard about the Pope. And they all gathered around. I said, yeah, the Pope went into church and got on his knees and said, dear God, I've got all these problems in the world. And you got people are hungry, people having extramarital affairs, people commit crime. What am I going to do? He said, to top it all off, my favorite football team, Notre Dame, is going in and taking on Herschel Walker and the University of Georgia in the Superdome tomorrow. What am I going to do? And God looked down at the Pope and said, how about them dogs? Got a good laugh.
You got a good laugh from the Notre Dame people.
That's right. They liked it.
They liked it, huh?
So I can't fault anybody.
You can't fault anybody for climbing poles because you've done it yourself.
I've never done that. I thought it was one of the highlights of my life. 1980.
Yeah, well,
got their
you
attention.
Wouldn't do it now, though. You would as an adult.
No, I couldn't climb.
You couldn't do it right now. Maybe if they put you up on a lift truck.
I don't think I could climb. I don't think I could climb a light post these days.
You have a hard time with the ladder, more or less.
But I'm not criticizing anybody who's done that. Been there, done that. 1980.
1980. Climb that light pole.
Yeah, those hurricanes will have an effect on you.
We're not talking about a storm, folks. Not Katrina. Hurricanes on Bourbon Street.
Pat O'Brien's. Great bar. You've ever been?
Oh boy!
Still got my Pat O'Brien's.
You do, huh?
Yes, I collect everything. I don't throw anything away.
They don't have one on River Street. They've got something like that.
I don't think Pat O'Brien's on River Street.
Not on River Street. They got something like that.
You can get those drink, but like I said,
okay.
Still got my Coffee de Mon coffee mug though. That's the best beignets and coffee in the world. New Orleans. New Orleans isn't a great town.
So you're saying that perhaps alcohol has something to do with these people going nuts after their team wins.
Yeah,
Is that right?
I think that has a lot to do with it. I don't think you do if you're sober. I mean, I was a college kid back then. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It was a great night.
So you're not faulting people for just celebrating with their team.
I'm just saying.
As long as they don't destroy property.
You know,
other than that, you're
I'm
fine.
just saying I understand.
You understand.
You want to get people's attention, so you climb up the light post and you yell at people and you gather a crowd.
Oh, Bob can empathize with those Philadelphia Eagles fans. They climb, Eagles climb, huh?
I still remember it to this day. It was a great night.
Great night, yeah.
Right.
What are your highlights of your...
I'm telling you, winning that national championship game, I'm telling you, 1980, that's one of the greatest nights of my life. The only thing is, like I said, we had all... My family told me we could invite whoever, you know. I invited like 35, 40 people, all sleeping bags. We all gathered up but we couldn't find one of my friends, Bob Frito from New York. We couldn't find him. So, I mean, we're waiting until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We finally went home. So, you know, how was it? I said, it was great. Won the game. I said, but we can't find Bob. She said, well, he's back there in the back room. He got arrested. He was one of those crazy people that after the game ran down there and got on the goalpost. Well, that was a no-no. They arrested about 200-some people.
Oh, wow.
And they threw him into jail, locked him up. But luckily, he picked the right phone number, called my dad, and my dad went down there and got him out of jail.
Well. You climbed the goalpost. See, that's destroying property there.
Yeah, they had to pay that fine.
Yeah.
And they said he could have stayed and went back to court, but he couldn't go to get back to go to school. So I think it was like a $200 fine. They fined everybody $200 to climb on the goalpost.
Yeah, enough money to pay for a new goalpost.
And my mother, like I say, she doesn't know anything about football. That's the funny story. She asked Bob Freitas how he's doing, and he said, "Well, the good thing is I got to see Brent Musburger. He walked on by." And my mother says, "Does he need a ride home too?" She didn't know who Brent Musburger was.
No, I think that ABC's got him a ride home.
CBS got him.
Oh, CBS.
Yeah,
CBS.
But that was funny. She said, "Does he need a ride home too?" He said, "No."
No, I don't think he does.
But he was scared to death. He said he got thrown in with all the crazy. They threw him in with all. He said that was the worst.
I'm sure it was kind of crazy.
Those are the worst 3 hours of his life. He was scared to death. I mean, in New Orleans, in jail. Like I said, got one phone call. He just had to pick the right Morgan in the phone book, but lucky he remembered the address. So we got him out of jail. Well, but he's got his picture in that. If you ever had that book, Glory, they put out a big old book, and there's a picture of him up on it. So
he got his. Yeah. He's in infamy now.
He's famous.
He's there for
he's in eternity.
That picture.
That picture. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's there.
Okay. Well, that was worth $200, wasn't it?
For him, it was. It's a great photo.
And you didn't get any trouble for climbing the post there? The light post? Was it light post?
It was one of those light posts.
One of those light posts. How did you just kind of hold on to it?
Yeah, I just held on. Yeah.
You just held on to it, huh?
Yeah. But I got those. I got all the Notre Dame fans' attention, though. Like I said, when you mentioned the Pope, they all come through.
All right, Bob. Well,
I thought it was a great joke, though, personally.
It was a great joke.
It's got a good laugh. I mean, everybody enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
All right, Bob.
I just can't criticize anybody for climbing the light post.
You can't, can you?
Been there, done that.
All right, Bob. Have a good day. All right, the world famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by O'Quinn & Associates and O'Quinn & Associates. Well, they were the winner of Wayne County's favorite insurance agency. The winner of Wayne County's favorite insurance agency, O'Quinn & Associates. Also brought to you by Murphy Builder Supply, Van's Barbecue, and First Southern Bank.